Thank you, Ed. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank my colleagues who have been the champions for years on this. Senators Markey, Wyden, Hirono, Welch, of course, Representatives Ocasio-Cortez, Grijalva, and all the labor leaders, all the environmental justice activists, all the youth organizers who have woken up the conscience of the nation. Now, for decades, we've talked about climate change. For too long, people felt hopeless. But today, 5 years since the introduction of the Green New Deal, it is absolutely clear that the American people can and do make a difference. A little over 5 years ago, let's remember where we were 5 years ago. We had a climate denier in the White House. We had Republican majorities in the House and the Senate. We were looking at a future that was dependent on fossil fuels and would lead nothing other than to a burning planet. But we didn't give up. In 2018, Americans stood up in overwhelming numbers and elected a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives. But we weren't done, not even close. 5 years ago, Senator Markey, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, and so many of you gathered here and announced a transformative plan to save the planet. But we weren't done yet. We marched, held rallies, and in 2020, we not only held the Democratic majority in the House of Representatives, we elected a Democratic majority in the U.S. Senate and a Democratic president to the White House. But we weren't done yet. We made sure to hold the president to his word. And because of all of you and your advocacy and activism, because of the movement that you started, we enacted the largest investment in history to combat climate change. The Inflation Reduction Act, $369 billion for energy security, for environmental justice, and for climate change programs. And the goal of lowering U.S. carbon emissions by 40% by the year 2030. You did that. $4 billion to address drought in the West. You did that. U.S. emissions by 2035 will be 20% lower than they would have been without the Inflation Reduction Act. You did that. It's a hell of a start. But we still have more work to do to cut our emissions by half by the year 2035. So we can't get complacent. I know we won't get complacent. Just ask the senator from California. California's been a leader in the fight against climate change, and we still face a crisis. A year ago, I was working hard to help communities recover from 30 atmospheric rivers that hit the Golden State. And as we speak, yet another deadly storm is battering the state of California. 8 of the top 10 largest wildfires in history have ravaged California in just the last 7 years. And across the country, weather and climate disasters have cost us nearly $93 billion in damages. Meanwhile, Republican leaders threaten to roll back our progress. So no, the fight is not over yet. We haven't given up. We're not going to give up. We're going to keep working, and we're going to need your voices and your advocacy to continue so that in 5 years, we know that we'll be continuing to make a difference. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Senator Padilla.